5 valuable lessons, insights, and skills that they do not teach you in school. 5 valuable lessons, insights, and skills that they don't teach you in school. That is what we're going to talk about today. But, first, please send me your validation so that I can inhale it into my nostrils and down to the depths of my soul. Send said validation by subscribing to the YouTube channel. Hit the little notification bell. Hit it. It's very important because you can get brand new videos the moment they come out. All other platforms, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends so that we can continue to spread the knowledge and education that is integral to actually living a successful life, which segues into the topic. 5 valuable lessons, insights, and skills that they do not teach you in school. Just once, I wish someone would frantically run up to me out of breath and just say, Ayo, I need your help. There's a flagpole over there, and I need to measure the distance from my line of sight to the top of the flagpole based on where I am standing. I'd be right there. I'd be ready to help them with that trivial piece of knowledge that I learned when I was in 5th grade or whatever, right? It's very easy to poo-poo on the education system. It's very easy to talk about the fact that the education system is broken. Teachers are doing the best that they can. It's not their fault. When you look at the incentive structure, which is something I'll talk about in a little bit, you will see the inevitable consequence of the school system, the education system being broken. So instead of lamenting the fact that the system is broken, go ahead and learn the skills that you need to know to live a successful life. And what are those skills? I'm going to give you 5 of what I believe are the most valuable skills that you can learn about the education system, that you did not learn in the education system. School lessons that are going to help you, after I untie my tongue, lessons that are going to help you navigate the world properly and get the kind of results and outcomes that you really want. The first and most important lesson that you must learn when it comes to real world success is the concept of leverage and exponential growth. If I could attribute one thing to the failure in most people's lives, is the idea of linear thinking. We have been taught to think in terms of linear progression. You go to work at the same time every day. You make the same amount of money every day. You make the same wage every day. You get the same paycheck. And you expect your life to continue in those intervals. You get a 3% cost of living raise each year. You gradually, incrementally gain a little bit more salary, linear progression. You never experience a massive jump based on your skill set. You go through school where you are put into classes that are of equal time intervals with the underlying implication that all the subjects you are learning are equally relevant, which of course makes no sense. You go through this system and you are just kind of led to believe that somehow your life is going to be incrementally better. Just work for your paycheck, let your money sit in the bank account, and everything will be fine. But of course, that is not the way that things actually work. If you follow a linear path in your life, you are never going to experience dramatic levels of success. You will only be able to experience dramatic levels of success when you understand the concept of leverage, exponential growth. What do I mean by that? I've talked about this over and over and over again, but let's go through some of the concepts again. Take this book, Real Help, my brand new book, which you should buy because it's awesome. I wrote this book once. It took me a year to write the book. I got paid no money up front while I was writing the book, but now I will get paid on this book over and over and over and over and over again for the rest of my life. Every single day, someone who I don't know finds my book on Amazon and buys the book. I continue to get compounding rewards based off of something I do one time. Reading the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad opened my mind to this concept, and I have not been the same since. I'm always looking for something where I can have a leveraged position. I want to do something where I do it once and I continue to reap the rewards over and over and over again. YouTube videos. As my channel grows, new people are going to find my videos without my additional effort. As my channel grows and compounds, it will start to grow faster. I've noticed that the channel is starting to pick up. I'm adding about 10 new subscribers each day, to whereas it took me a week to get 10 subscribers in the beginning. So when you leverage yourself, when you put yourself in a position where you can experience growth, where you can experience network effects, that is how you create an abundant amount of success. Why is Facebook one of the most successful companies in the world? Because it created a network effect. Facebook started as a very small subset of the population, Harvard students. Then the pie grew to college students only. People don't remember you used to need an EDU email account to be able to be on Facebook. Then they expanded it to the broader population, word of mouth. People started hearing about Facebook. Now, Facebook has billions of users. There are certain business types, there are certain models, there are certain assets that have the nature of the ability to create a network effect and experience exponential growth. A job, by its nature, a salary paid job by its nature, cannot produce those effects. It doesn't matter. You could work and be super lazy one day at your job, work 8 hours very lazily, you get paid the same amount. You could go in the next day and work your butt off, work extremely hard, but you still make the same amount of money. Do you understand this? You want to create a position where you are able to exponentially grow your efforts over time. And this doesn't even have to necessarily be in something like an asset. Let's say that you work for yourself and you charge a certain rate for your work. As your skills get better, what can you do? You can raise your price instantly. You can double what you charge for your services instantly because you have the demand to do that. You have leverage. You have the ability to grow your income at a rate equivalent to your skills. And then it explodes and you can begin to experience exponential results without any additional effort, right? So I always talk about the J curve, J curve, J curve, J curve, J curve. Leverage works the same way when it comes to building skills. When I was a writer, my skills plateaued until they got really, really good. And my platform got really, really big. My YouTube is starting to accelerate a little bit. It's starting to accelerate, it's starting to accelerate, it's starting to accelerate. I remember watching a video from this guy and he was like, I'm so thankful for having my 3,000th subscriber. And it was a video that was like 2 years. It was like 2 years old, right? I looked at the guy's channel, 200,000 subscribers. It's not linear. A linear progression is like 3,000, 9,000, 12,000, 15,000. And on a linear progression, it would have taken him a lot longer. But due to leverage, due to network effects, due to exponential, it went like 3,000, 12,000, oh shit, 200,000. So you want to put yourself in a position to experience massive upside. Read the book Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb, another great book about the concept of exponential growth. You want to be anti-fragile. When you're anti-fragile, it means that you are exposed to getting a lot of upside, but you don't have a lot of downside to what you're doing. So when I write a book, downside is known. I invest whatever I invest into the book. I can't sell negative books. But the upside is massive. Take someone like E.L. James. She wrote 50 Shades of Grey. Viral hit. Couldn't have predicted that. J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter, couldn't have predicted the exponential viral nature of the work, but you put yourself in a position. That's why you want to put yourself in a position to experience leverage, to experience gains. And yes, that involves a little bit of risk, a modicum of risk. You cannot be risk averse and experience exponential growth at the same time. Yes, there is a possibility that trying these things will not work out. But again, if you know the resources, the downside is known, and then you are exposed to unlimited upside. Investing, what do most people do? They let their money sit in a bank account while it's getting eaten by inflation. Most people don't know that if you leave your money in a bank account and it's not earning interest, the value of your money actually decreases because inflation lowers the value of a dollar. So you want to put your money into asset vehicles that can experience leverage where your money makes money for you. This is how people get rich, and this is how they keep getting richer. People think rich people are evil. They just know how to use leverage. They create a business, leverage. When you have a business, you have people who work for you to where you can scale your effort. You can only do so much as a person. I have assistants. I have people who help me with tech and web and software and designers. This book was created. I had a book cover designer who helped me create the book. I worked with 6 different editors to edit the book. I worked with an audiobook producer to create the audiobook. I worked with a formatter to format the book. I worked with Amazon, the platform, to print the book. And I exposed the book to network effects via the algorithm based off of a fan base that I built using the website Medium that has an algorithm that promotes my work, based on an email list that I built and has fans who spread the word and it adds more people to the pool. Like, do you understand how this works? Put yourself in a leverage position and stop thinking linearly. Lesson number 2 that they don't teach you in school. You have to understand human nature. You have to understand the way that the world works versus the way that you think the world should work. This is why I love reading authors like Robert Greene, even going to read people like Machiavelli, all of these kind of amoral looks at human nature. You have to understand how human beings are. What are human beings driven by? Incentives. Charlie Munger says, if you understand the incentives of a situation, then you can predict the outcomes. He credits the invention of the cash register for massively curbing theft in retail workers. Why? When you create an incentive not to steal, people will not steal. The cash register created a positive incentive to keep people on the up and up. You look at something like the student loan crisis. If you back loans from the government and guarantee demand of a product, of course, colleges are going to raise their tuition. It's simple supply and demand incentives. There was no choice. If you put people in positions like Lehman Brothers, who they have agency problems and they have the incentive to only look out for themselves and to only look out at quarterly earnings while ignoring the long-term massive consequences, this is how you create market crashes. People overestimate their free will. They overestimate the free will of others. I can create an incentive cocktail to make people do lots of things. People think they are immune to being into certain situations, but if you create the right incentive structure, it's inevitable. So you have to understand that human beings are driven by incentives. So when you see people operate and you ask yourself, like, how could they do something like that? You just have to look at the incentives. People are a lot more malleable and shapeable than most people, I think, believe. So you have to understand that if you want to understand humans. Another thing you need to understand is biology and evolution. It's so funny. Everyone wants to talk about evolution. Everyone wants to talk about animal drives and primitive drives, except for when it comes to us. All of a sudden, humans aren't animals. All of a sudden, we don't have these animalistic drives. So for me, one of the things that helped me understand people and understand human nature is looking at us like animals. We think just because we have developed sentience and a prefrontal cortex that we are above the animals, but we are animals ourselves, and we are driven by the same things other animals are driven. Look at the mating behaviors of humans, same as other animals. We are driven by the need to reproduce. We're driven by the need to accumulate resources. Dudes don't go out and make a bunch of money and drive Lamborghinis because they like Lamborghinis. Why do you think they get them? Need to reproduce. Accumulation of resources. Come on. You got to take the rose-colored glasses off and understand that humans are biological entities. Think about most of your thoughts are driven biologically. You're hungry. You want to have sex. You want to accumulate resources so that you can have sex and have kids. You want safety. You want security. You want to avoid social rejection because your lizard brain equates that to being left alone in the tribe, to be dead and eaten by vultures in the wilderness. You are very primed for fear, because if the wind was blowing against the leaves, it's better to think that it's a lion than to think it's the wind. All this stuff, elementary evolution and biology, understand this, and humans are mostly driven by it. I don't give much credit to the prefrontal cortex at all. I give most credit to the lizard brain. So giving credit to the lizard brain helps you control your own and helps you learn how to analyze other people's behavior using that lens. And when we get to point 3, which I'm going to talk about next, it'll show you how to persuade people. And in general, there's just patterns of human nature that you need to understand. Read classic novels. Read copywriting books, which is going to lead to my next point. Humans are not all that unique. We're all primarily driven by the same things. And if you study history, Lessons of History by Will Durant, great book. Study the nature of people. While the technologies change, while the user interface of human beings changes, but the underlying hardware does not. So understand human nature, and you can unlock the keys to many things, which leads into my third point. Marketing, persuasion, sales, the ability to get people to do what you want is a superpower. If I could make all of the high school students follow one curriculum when they graduate, I wouldn't send them to academia. I would make them read a bunch of copywriting books, Eugene Schwartz, Gary Halpert, Robert Cialdini, Psychology of Persuasion. I would have them go work at used car lots and try to sell cars, and I would have them go make little affiliate marketing blogs and e-commerce stores online. If you know how to sell, if you know how to move people, you can get rich. You can build the network you want to build. You can attract the kind of people you want into your life. You can build a network. You can create movements. A lot of people are like, persuasion in marketing is only used by demagogues and authoritarian sociopathic leaders. Incorrect. Mother Teresa, master marketer and persuader. Martin Luther King, master marketer and persuader. Nelson Mandela, master marketer and persuader. So if you're one of the good guys or gals, then you need to learn persuasion powers for good so that you can be on the right side of history, so that you can help people. If you have something of value that you want to offer the world, you have to understand that the build it and they will come mentality doesn't work. You can't just make a product and expect people to buy it. You can't just have a movement and expect people to follow it. You need to persuade them, give them reasons, pull their emotional levers, understand that people have emotional levers that can be pulled without their permission. People think they are immune to advertising. The people who think they're immune to advertising are the most susceptible to advertising, because quote unquote more intelligent people are better at creating post hoc reasoning for emotional decisions that they make. So you make the decision emotionally first, and the smarter you are, the more elaborate set of facts, data, opinions, and criteria you create to justify your own decisions, which makes you even more prone to persuasion and manipulation tactics. But you can use your powers of persuasion and manipulation for good, and I would encourage you to study the art of marketing and persuasion, because sales is a skill that you need. To Sell is Human, a book by Daniel Pink you should read. You're in sales mode all the time. We're all in the struggle to get what we want, accumulate resources, convince people, sales, human interactions, getting people to do what you want. All of this is sales. So this aversion to marketing and sales makes no sense, because it's really the number one most powerful skill in the world. Learn marketing and sales alone, and it's pretty much the only item on the list that's super important to know. Skill number 4, learning to regulate your emotions. Regulating your emotions is key to living a successful life, because you have to deal with so much of the mental anguish and self-doubt just to get along in the journey. You have to learn how to be persistent. You have to learn how to not trust your mind. That's why I practice meditation and mindfulness. Become an observer of your mind to understand that your mind is a separate entity that's not your friend, that's not on your side. that is built by that lizard brain ego protection mechanism that's trying to keep you safe, but is actually no longer needed because you are no longer in hunter-gatherer environment. You have to understand the way that your mind works. You have to learn how to process things. You have to learn how to process past traumas and let go of the past. So I have a video called The Art of the Surrender. You have to learn how to surrender to the present moment and understand that what's in the past is done and that you can do nothing to change it and that you have to move forward from wherever you are. You have to accept your current lot in life in order to build a better one. You have to learn how to stay emotionally even and handle pressure. There were many ups and downs on the path to getting where I am now. Moments where I felt insane. Moments where I was like, why the heck am I doing this? Moments where I felt like quitting. Where everything was just piling in. Problems with my relationship, problems with my job, terrible clients, having to raise a child, trying to get a side hustle off of the ground when for the first couple of years, all available evidence said that it was not going to pan out. Believing in myself before something came into fruition. Staying emotionally centered in the eye of the storm that is life. Developing emotional intelligence. Doing things like journaling so that I can understand what I was feeling, so that I can process those feelings. Not repressing my feelings and learning to let them come to the surface so that I could let them go. Read the book Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins. It's a great book. It talks about how the fact that we think that we are processing emotions when we're really repressing our emotions. And the more you bury your emotions deep, instead of actually feeling them, you just create a negative feedback loop where these feelings just tend to kind of metastasize on top of themselves. So emotional regulation is key. Being able to move on and keep blinders onto the world and not being offended by everything. Not being mentally weak. Developing mental toughness. All of these are emotional processes. And most people, they're just too emotional. They add too much emotion to what they're trying to do. They add too much emotional context to what's going on instead of just doing the work. And then they don't actually process their emotions, then they just don't let them bubble up to the surface. So that's why you see everyone, like their energy is so freaking repressed. You can look at it, the quiet desperation just permeating through the air like a colorless, odorless gas. You have to crack open the lid, see what's under the hood, deal with it so you can move on, which leads to point number 5. Understanding that school is not real life. Nothing in school is mapped to the real world at all. Nothing in school is real life. School teaches you that if you follow a certain rubric and criteria, things are going to work out. Real life is incredibly unpredictable. You could try the same thing as someone else and fail. You could fail through no fault of your own. Some people get lucky. Some people get ahead by nepotism. Some people had the right idea, but they were at the wrong place at the wrong time. Some people don't have the emotional regulatory tools to match the level of talent that they have. See, in school, everything is fit into a nice little neat box. The teacher tells you exactly what's on the test. You take the test, you get your little A, then you forget about it. You don't actually learn anything, right? Nassim Taleb once said that if you are a real teacher, you should never have any materials prepared beforehand. You should be able to just come in the room and talk about your subject matter, your expertise, which is why I don't script my videos. I don't want to have to conjure up knowledge from thin air. I want to talk about things that I already know. And you want to be someone who develops the type of knowledge that you can conjure up at any moment. Rote memorization doesn't teach you anything. Doesn't teach you critical thinking, problem solving, thinking on your feet, adaptability, dealing with people, understanding the kind of game theoretic nature that comes with dealing with people and situations, and that people do play status and power games, and that there is more to the surface than just talent and hard work, that there are power games being played, that you do have to play things on a superficial level and on a deep spiritual level at the same time, that you have to have good ideas, but then you also have to add window dressing and packaging to them. All of these things are what happens in real life, but what do most people do? They live life like they're still in school. They're looking for someone to give them all the answers. Everyone wants to know everything. Everyone's like, Ayo, how do I fix my life? How do I find the perfect business? I don't know. I don't know you. I can only give you guidelines and suggestions. You have to fill in the gaps by yourself. What do I always say? There is no guru or self-improvement teacher or content creator that can force you to do the actions. Most of the important things in your life you will never learn unless you do them on your own. I could give you a textbook on how to ride a bike. You could read 100 textbooks on how to ride a bike, but you will still surely fall the first time you try to do it if you've never done it before. Get real world experience. Go out there. Try and fail. Break some eggs. That's how you actually learn and become successful. Okay. Real Help is a book that draws from the experiential knowledge that I've gained over the past half decade to build the life that I have built to this date, and hopefully will help you build the life that you want to build. Go out and buy that book now because it teaches you the lessons you do not learn in school. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you can get brand new videos when they come out. All other platforms, please like, comment, subscribe. Look down below. Check out some links, social media. I share exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else on my socials. Join my email list. Grab all of my books. Watch some more videos. Dive into the YouTube rabbit hole that is my channel. I will see you on the next video.